Radio.
Let's go!
With Sir Blackston and the Masked Hope.
Raw Impact Radio. I am Sir Blackston. He is the Masked Hope. What are you saying? I don't have my championship? Is that what you're saying? Listen.
You won't have it for long.
Semantics. Like, why even discuss it? You know why? We don't need a championship, Hope. Because today we have the man, Ricardo Rodriguez, is in the building.
3 Legacies Wrestling's owner, booker, all that. One of the greatest ring announcers of all time.
Right. The personal ring announcer of Alberto Del Rio.
Is that it? Alberto Del
Rio. It would almost be insulting for me to do it. I'm nowhere near his vocal skills, right? His oratory abilities.
I feel bad that I did it myself.
We're going to talk to Ricardo Rodriguez. Got an awesome interview planned. Talk to him about 3 Legacies Wrestling, his wrestling journey, and where he'd like to see things go. Also find out who he likes, watching nowadays. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. It's Christmas. This is a Christmas episode, right? No, it's not. It's the day after Christmas.
Close enough.
Ignore what I said. We'll be back after this.
Have feedback on the show? Email us at rawimpactradio@gmail.com. Raw Impact Radio with Sir Blackston and the Masked Hope.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alberto Del Rio's personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez.
Raw Impact Radio, I am Sir Blackston. He is the Masked Hope, and this week we have a very, very special guest in the building, Ricardo Rodriguez. Sir,
hello. Well, technically not your building, but a building.
Yeah, building. He's in a building.
A building. So we're working with technicalities.
Fire.
It's definitely 4 walls.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. I know it's close to this will actually drop on Christmas. I know it's close to the holidays right now, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
No, of course. I appreciate you guys inviting me on and for having some of my kids on there.
Oh, absolutely.
I appreciate it. And all the support, man. All the support. I appreciate that.
And bro, they all talk so positively about their experience at 3LW. Like we know you from WWE, but I mean, a lot of our listeners rather know you from WWE. But you have your own promotion, 3 Legacies Wrestling. Your students, they have like nothing but great things to say about you and the environment there, and the coaching is. I think that it's really a testament to what you're doing right now.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I spent multiple years in WWE under the name of Ricardo Rodriguez. Got to ring announce for Alberto Del Rio. I got to travel. I got to do a lot of awesome, pretty cool things. A couple of WrestleManias, Royal Rumbles, etc. I've been grateful to have had a pretty cool wrestling career so far. Not just there, but on the independent scene as well. Before WWE and then after WWE. Being able to travel to different countries and then teach people wrestling and then pass down the knowledge. And then now to establish myself here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to open up my own promotion and my own school has been a blessing. So it's definitely been something amazing that we've been able to build. And you guys were there for one of them. Masked Hope is there quite frequently. So it's fun, man. It's been a blessing.
Oh, as far as 3 Legacies go, I just wonder how did it form? Like, what got you to the idea of I need to start my own promotion?
So I've been since I left WWE, even before WWE, I was helping run schools. I actually ran one in Chatsworth, Chatsworth, California, before I got signed, and I was helping run that, just a training though. I was helping run training over at Knox Pro as well. In Burbank, California for a little bit before I got signed. And in WWE, what I was doing was they would use me a lot before Raw and SmackDown to work with the newer guys or people that they wanted some extra ring time with. So I was one of the guys that they would use to help them out in the ring. So I got to learn directly from, I'm going to be dropping a whole lot of things here. William Regal, Scott Armstrong, Fit Finley, Malenko, Arn Anderson, JB Noble. So I got to learn from them directly. So it was awesome. And then when I left WWE, I was helping run a school down in Orlando called Pro Wrestling 2.0, which was owned by Alex Porto, and I was running it. And we built something pretty cool there. Eventually I left, I ended up going to Texas. I was helping run Hybrid School of Wrestling in San Antonio with Chris Marvel, and he's done amazing stuff. He's done amazing things with that place after I left too, which I was super happy with. I ended up going to India. I opened up a school in India under the great Kali. So I was there for 6 months, and then we were training 6 days a week for 6 months straight. Some of those guys actually got signed to WWE.
Nice.
After I left, and then I had awesome coaches that went after I left, so they helped keep it going. That one I'm super proud of because for a lot of reasons. I'm very adamant about posting stuff on social media about what we're doing and such, and I think we did enough of that it got traction. And WWE WWE had not been to India in about 14 years, but because of everything that they saw that we were doing, and how much, India is a massive market. So WWE ended up going to Delhi after 14 years, and I got to be a part of that. So then WWE Impact went after that too. So that was quite cool, and we built an independent scene in India. So that I'm super proud of that because that's something nobody can ever take away from me. And that's one of those where I'm gonna stroke my own ego on that one because I was like, I built that. So, and I'm very thankful for everybody that went after I left, because they were a big part of that too, to keep it going. I got a chance to do something similar in England, in Australia. I got to do Egypt. I lived in Cairo, Egypt for almost a year, trying to build something as well too. And then when I ended up here in Lancaster, we decided, I was like, man, I've been able to do all of this for so long. Why not just build something of my own? And then we decided to build 3 Legacies Wrestling. Long story short, that's pretty much where it went.
Nice. But how does it feel knowing that you started this company, and since you started it, you've been selling out basically every show, so much so that now you have to move to a bigger arena,
which is no small feat in the indies, because people take it for granted to have a large crowd in an independent promotion. I mean, you're starting from scratch, and you've got like this huge following right now.
Yeah, it's been a blessing, honestly, man. And it's not a single person; it's a whole team effort, and I can't stress that enough. If anybody ever says that they did it by themselves, it's BS. It takes a team. None of this is done by oneself. I'm very happy of the team that I have. Obviously my business partner, Christopher Dreisbach, Bobby Guinea, Ronnie Ramon, Eddie Shankman, Harley, Keith Bauer. It's a whole team effort that makes this happen. So it's not just an individual person. But I think having a close circle that have a similar goal and a similar dream is very crucial, because then you'll see, and everybody has a different role within us, right? And so long as everybody knows their role and their assignment, we can all move forward. But it's been a blessing, man. And don't get me wrong, listen, it didn't start that way. Our first event, we had about 150. Our second one was just a little less because it was snowing. And then January came around and it was just bam, bam, bam. And it's been nonstop. But it has a lot to do with, it's a hustle. It's all a hustle, right? And then you got to push. And then we're going to make a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes already. But it's a matter of learning from it and not putting myself down because of it and not letting it get to me. Taking that pause and like, all right, that didn't work out. So how do we fix that? And this goes for a lot of things too, not just the business side of it, but also the training. All right, so we messed up. All right, it happens. What do we do with it? Either we dwell on it or we fix it and then learn from it and move forward. So that's pretty much what this whole process has been. We've made mistakes already and we just learn from it. But it's been awesome, dude.
I mean, that's how you grow. And that is one of the things that, the students that we've had on pointed out, is that, things aren't perfect all the time. We do mess up. They don't dwell on your mistakes. They teach you how to learn from them and move forward. So it's good to know that they're applying in their schooling what you've applied, in your business option. Yeah,
of course. And it's not, we're not shooting for perfection. We're shooting for progression.
Right.
So long as we progress each time, if I aim for perfection off the bat, I'm already setting myself up for failure. So it's a matter of progressing each day, even if it's a little bit, so long as we're moving forward and not backwards.
Now, you
I was
said that you had a few students that signed with WWE. Like, who are some of the, as an instructor, I know that you're proud of like all of your students, but who are some standouts that are like, that you like have
Well,
a special?
the ones from India, the two that got signed from India was, and he was on SmackDown. Shanky was one of them, and I forgot what his name in WWE was. Um, Guru Raja, the Guru something was in NXT. I forgot what his name was on NXT. Um, but those were like two of specific in mind, and then we had one that was from San Antonio, and then she was there. She started when um, just as I was about to leave San
Mhm.
Antonio. So she just got signed, at least what the rumors are.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
by the time that this comes out, I think it's already announced. So Maddie, I'm super proud of her. She's been killing it on independent scene on AEW, NWA. So she got picked up. There's a lot of folks out there that I got to spend a lot of time with that are not doing awesome things. Selena de la Renta is one of them that was in MLW. She was one of my kids. Between myself and Lindsay Dorado, we were training them. Um, Janai Kai is one I'm super proud of because she's killing
Wow.
it. I was her first trainer. Robert Martyr, I was his trainer. Um, there's a lot of folks that I had a hand in being a part of the journey, and I'm super proud of what they're doing. Now, granted, and then we kind of take it into law of probability, like not everybody's going to that point. But obviously, we want everybody to at least have a chance. Um, but that's to name a few. There's a whole long list of people that I had a chance to be a part of their journey on a major way. And then now, obviously, right now, I mean, the guys that we have now here at Legacy, Zoe Cannon and Just Jay, Al Snook, Clayton Adams, just to name a few. And there's a couple other that are like they're picking it up quick. So it's just a matter of time before they get out there. And thankfully, we have a platform that we're able to showcase them.
just watching these guys, just being in there watching these guys. I'm just blown away from when I first stepped in there with you guys, watching you guys train to seeing them in the ring actually doing this. It's wild to me. I'm so proud of them every time I see them in the ring.
And it's a process. Don't get me wrong. Listen, this isn't easy, right? So,
Mhm.
uh, this is not easy for anybody, either a student or on the promoting side. Um, it takes time and it's a process. I can't stress that enough. It's a process. Shoot for progression, not perfection. Not yet. It'll get there. Um, and they're headaches. They are huge, massive headaches so many times. But that's also what we signed up for. Um, and it's just a matter of pushing them forward, and then they can get mad all they want, and that's totally fine. My goal is to push them and to make sure that they get to a certain point to the best of their abilities, and that's my job as the coach. Um, but they'll get there.
Do you have any advice for any wrestlers up and coming or looking to get into wrestling training and where they need to start?
Well, I mean, this is I'm pretty sure this is the overall answer that a lot of folks will always give is look for a reputable school. Um, I'll relate it to business on a business aspect, for at least for me, right? Because I had to learn a lot. Um, the all I know is that I don't know anything, and then the moment that I think that I know it all, I realize that I didn't know anything ever. Um, so look for a reputable school. Look for people that have been to where you want to go. See their journey. Don't try and compare yourself to them because you'll never run parallel to them. Um, you can kind of take an idea of where or how they got there and then use it as a model, sure, but don't ever try to compare yourself to other people because you're already setting yourself up failure.
Mhm.
Use them as a comparison, so maybe in a way of get an idea, but don't try and model yourself directly as them. Um, networking, networking is crucial. The one thing that I wish I would have been taught when I was younger was to network, because I would just go wrestle somewhere and then leave. I wouldn't stay afterwards. I wouldn't chat with anybody. I would just go, show up, do my part, and then leave. And I wish I would have stuck around and either helped out more or just gone to events without, even though I wasn't booked on it. I wanted to keep. I should have kept going to the places I wanted to be at, And then, hopefully one day I'll get an opportunity. There's been folks over here at Three Legacies that just showed up, and then somebody didn't show. I put them on, and then they've been with me since.
Mm.
There's been people that just consistently, right? I'll bump into them somewhere, and then they always make the time to chat, and then that way I can get an idea of them. I can get a vibe. I'm a total hippie, by the way. I'm a
Yeah.
huge hippie.
Nice.
So
When
is
it
this
comes to
guy.
vibes and energy. So I love vibes and I love matching energies. Even if it's not like on a wrestling aspect, just but on a personal level, I can get an idea of what you are. So even if maybe say we vibe well, we mesh well, but like maybe your wrestling is not quite there, I think people will be more inclined to be willing to help you if you're able to match energies. Um, so yeah, just network. Network is crucial. Help out wherever you can. I would volunteer. I used to volunteer to go be like the airport runner if they needed anybody, because that's the only time that I really. And I will get to this part too. And I mentioned it to a lot of guys here is that when I was coming up, seminars were not a thing. They're not really a thing. So our seminars were the car rides. Our seminars were going to pick up the name from the airport, taking them to go eat, driving him to the next town. Those were our seminars. And then when I was in WWE, I was so lucky. I got to ride with some amazing minds that every now and then they would just spill a whole lot of knowledge. And I was like, what the hell, man? I never understood certain things until it was explained in his words. Um, so ask questions. I'm going all over the place, and I'm going all over the place. But
Oh,
yeah,
this is
asking
great.
questions.
This is great.
Don't feel like you're asking stupid questions. But also understand that everything is about the approach. So if you go in demanding stuff, you're gonna be probably met with resistance. Um, but then we go back into whole vibes and energies. If you go in and then wanting to learn, people are gonna be more inclined to explain things or to talk to you or to share whatever they know. Um, yeah, network, find reputable schools, get your reps. Uh, I understand too that this is a very different time frame where we're more open about like the mental health, um, but there has to be a certain point where we have to understand that this is going to take a huge toll on you, not just physically but mentally. You have to go into that with that preparation, or at least an idea that it's going to test you. And the hardest thing, not the hardest thing, but like don't take it out on yourself. Be critical, sure. Hey, be analytical of what's happening, but don't take it out on yourself. Um, yeah.
That's great advice. The seminar piece and like being able to if you're the runner, you know what I mean, this is an opportunity for you to literally sit under the learning tree with someone who could be at the top of your industry. I can't think of very many industries where you would get like uninterrupted time, sometimes hours at a time with someone who's at the top of your industry, and you get the one-on-one conversation. I think that's an awesome opportunity.
Absolutely.
Speaking of getting your journey started, like what got you started at WWE? How did you get to the point where you are about to get signed?
So I'm from Los Angeles, California. That's where I'm from. I learned lucha libre, Mexican lucha libre first before I switched over to the American side. When I did, I got booked for this company called Empire Wrestling Federation (EWF) in this one I think was in Monte, California, and the promoter was this guy named Jesse Hernandez. After the after the match that I had was this guy named Brandon Parker was his name. Jesse comes up to me in the locker room. He's like, "Hey, WWE's coming to town in like 2 months. They're looking for luchadors. Would you be interested in getting a tryout?" And to mind you, this is the first time I had ever met Jesse. So he didn't owe me anything.
Mm.
So I was like, yeah, sure, of course. Um, so I signed up for it. I did the tryout. I got signed pretty much on the spot,
Wow.
and it just went from there. I went to the Staples Center, which I don't know what it's called now. The Staples Center in LA. We got there, I don't know, like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and we did drills for like 2, 3 hours. We did a little tournament style. matches, and it wasn't who won the matches, who they liked the best. And then at the end, it was myself and this one guy named Mercurio Jr. So that was the end of the tournament deal, whatever. I get asked, I get pulled aside afterwards, and then the guy who was the talent scout guy, the whatever, his name was Ty Bailey, and then he goes up to me, he's like, "Hey, are you in a contract with anybody?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Are you married? Do you have kids?" I was like, "I don't have kids that I know of." And he's like, "If given the opportunity, would you be willing to relocate to Florida?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, just wondering." And I've been around wrestling long enough at this point where people promise you the world and nothing ever happens. So I was just like, "All right, cool, whatever." So that we get to catering, and we were only scheduled for that tryout. So I wasn't scheduled for like SmackDown or anything. I was just scheduled for the tryout, but we stuck around because free food. Um, and yeah, so I got asked if I wanted to do the ring announcing deal for something that they had going on SmackDown, and I was like, "Yeah, of course." I've never done ring announcing at this point, right? They had asked me if I had done it before, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, of course," which I didn't. I had never done ring announcing. So then I go to SmackDown the next day, and that was it. It just went from there.
And you jump right into the character from there.
Yep.
That is
It didn't start off that way because and I know I've mentioned this in podcasts in the past. When I was told about a ring announcing deal, I figured Tony Chimmel, Howard Finkel, very proper. But I do remember specifically when Vince goes, he's like, no, be more animated, be more Hispanic.
Yeah.
Whatever that meant.
Okay.
Right.
And then, I mean, I know what that meant.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
more animated, more, and I just remember the announcers from AAA in Mexico, how they were so lively and da, 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 da. So it took me a while to get to that point because I've never done it before. I just lied to them and I told them that I could do it. So I just BS my way into it. But I was like, all right, well, we're here. We're here. And it just went from there. And then what was cool about it was the very first day in Bakersfield, California, Tony Chimmel comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, kid, what's your name?" So I told him my real name, Jesus Rodriguez. So because WWE never gave me a name. So the very first SmackDown, and I'm pretty sure still there on the network or something, unless it changed it. Tony Chimmel announces me as Alberto Rios' personal re-announcer, Jesus Rodriguez. So then when we get to the back, I think it was Malenko or Jamie Noble. He goes like, "Hey, and it was Malenko because it was Malenko." He's like, "Hey, who gave you that name?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "The name that Chimmel announced you as." I was like, "Well, that's my name." He's like, "No, we have to change that." So then I don't know whose idea it was to put Ricardo. I know why, because they said that I look like Ricardo.
Wow.
So I don't know whoever came up with that, but that's where it came from, and that's how it stuck. And then I got put on the road right away.
That's nice. So at this point, like the majority of your experience was in the ring. So tell me about the transition of being like basically an in-ring performer to now like you're an announcer. You're not necessarily in the ring all the time, but now this is a different world for you.
It was a big clash of the egos, and I didn't understand it until much later. There's a lot of lessons that I learned in the afterthought and the after it happened. After the fact. So when I was given that role, in my head, I was like, all right, cool. This is a cool little transition. Eventually, I'll be a wrestler. But yeah, because I would do this ring announcing thing, and I wasn't wrestling anymore. I was on the road. I wasn't training anymore. I was just there. I was a lackey. Nobody knew. There was only a few that were actually at the tryout that knew that I wrestled, which Tyson Kidd was on my tryout, Matt Seidel and Jamie Noble. Those were the three guys that were running the tryout. So only those three knew that I wrestled. So yeah, so I just kind of I didn't know any better. So when we would get to the arena, I would just go check in. I would just stand by the ring and just wait to be told what to do. I didn't know Alberto. I didn't know Chavo, who later became my circle. I didn't know them, so I would just go and I would just stand there. Nobody knew anything about me. They just thought I was just some dorky ring announcer. So it sucked, man. It sucked because I had this constant battle with my ego that I wanted to wrestle. But as a wise man once said, shut your mouth and know your role.
Hey.
Um, so, so I had to understand what my assignment was. Um, and then I remember eventually, once I got the groove of what the Ricardo character was, we were at training down in FCW, and then Ricky Steamboat was one of my coaches. Ricky Steamboat and then Norman Smiley were my coaches um, on the days that I was down there. So we were doing something, and then Ricky just used me as an example. And I think this is really when it clicked in my head of what I was doing, and then to really like embrace it. I don't remember what the drill was, but he was explaining something, and then Ricky just points at me and he's like, "Look at him. He's on TV for like 15 seconds, but he makes sure that those 15 seconds are his." Um, and I've always carried that because I didn't realize it until he said it, and then I just learned to embrace that. Um, and I think after that happened, that's when I really started elongating the Alberto, um, and then making it more of a presentation rather than just Damas y Caballeros, da da da, Alberto Del Rio. Because it wasn't until he said that it really clicked in my head that I was like, if I'm gonna have only a couple seconds on TV, I want to make sure that those seconds are mine and nobody else's. Right? I want all focus on me until I have to give it up. So I think that's when it really, that was like, probably like the pivotal point where I was like, cool, yeah, this is my role. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is what's making me travel. And I think Alberto, a few times I had that chat with him where I wanted to transition to wrestler, and then he would just call me in and he's like, "What? I was about to cuss." He's like,
You're
"Don't
good.
don't be stupid. You're getting paid all this money to travel, not take any bumps, uh, and you're on everything with me. Don't be stupid." Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. Um, but they were also towards this point, they were already using me down in NXT to help out the younger guys that were coming up. So I was Kalisto's first match. I think Sami Zayn's first match. Oh, this was all dark matches on NXT. I think Sami Zayn's. I was a bunch of people's first matches down there just to kind of get them moving and whatever. I think Sami Zayn. I don't remember. Um, but yeah, um, yeah, I wish I would have embraced that and then just kind of went with it and versus try to fight it because I fought situations a lot when I probably shouldn't have in hindsight. I didn't realize what I had going on for me, and I just threw it away because of my ego.
Wow.
There are a few people that actually could make comedy gimmicks work, and you did well with making fun of Sheamus and the Justin Bieber t-shirt and dressing up like the Big Show. Like what do you think you did different to make it work?
So I go back to the same thing of having that battle with my ego. Once I surrendered to that whole idea of like, dude, this is my role, embrace it. Then I wasn't afraid of making a fool out of myself anymore, and I was okay with it. But it takes time, and that part takes time to just come to terms with what your position situation is. Now this doesn't apply to a lot of people, and I get that. That's totally fine. Um, but at that point, I had already understood what my assignment was, what my job was. I'm not the main event. I'm the decoration. I'm not like the Christmas tree. I'm the decoration on the Christmas tree. Um, so I'm just there to accentuate. I'm not there to take away anybody's thunder or whatever. Um, so I think a lot of that had to do with I just embraced my role and I made the most of it. Because I figured after a while, if they give me something small and I kill it, they're gonna keep giving me something, and then I kill it, they're gonna give me more, little by little, and they did. Um, they trusted me enough to work with guys that were hurt, so they learned to put me in them with them in like on dark matches as they were coming back. They trusted me enough to put over guys, which that's I didn't again things I didn't realize at the time. Um, they trusted me to do these spots and then I didn't really have a lot of guidance on them either. They were just like, hey, you're doing this, and then that's it, and then we would just do it, and then that was it. So they kind of trusted me just to kind of do it. Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back because I want to get into like some of like your origins in wrestling, like how you got started in the industry, and where you'd like to see Three Legacies go. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
Sir Blackston,
Oh, motherfucking Moss.
the masked hope,
I hate when they make these groups and then they lose. How are they going to get over losing?
Raw Impact Radio.
Raw Impact Radio. It's your mystical dragon, the masked hope, and your centaur, Sir Blackson, and the chimera, Ricardo Rodriguez. Jesus, Ricardo Rodriguez.
Close. Chimera. Close.
Oh,
Chimera.
Close.
I practiced that too.
Almost, dang it. No, we are talking to Ricardo Rodriguez of Three Legacies Wrestling, and he's been telling us a lot about like his journey. But I want to talk to you about like how you got started in the industry. We know how you got signed with WWE. How did you get into professional wrestling?
Backyard wrestling.
Really?
So I used to backyard wrestle with a couple of buddies of mine from high school, and then I don't know how we ended up seeing that there was a group in the valley, in San Fernando Valley, which is where I used to live when I grew up there. So there was a group that had a ring, and so I messaged him on MySpace because MySpace was
a thing back then.
So I messaged him on MySpace, and then I went for like a quote unquote tryout. And it was a backyard fed, and they had this 20 by, I think it was like a 20 by 20 boxing ring. And it was called BBW EWA at the time. Beyond Backyard Wrestling, Extreme Wrestling Alliance or something.
Nice.
So then my friend and I, Kevin, we joined them, and we started with that. So we learned how to bump and roll and all that stuff from other backyarders. And at the time, this is when like TNA was a thing, and then like the X Division was like hot. Jarrell Clark, AJ Styles, Christopher Danielson, with Joe, right? Like this is 2025. So we would, once we started like wrestling, quote unquote, putting matches together, we would watch these X Division matches and like mimic them move for move. And those were our shows. So we would do monthly shows. And it was fun for a while. Eventually what we did was, because I also had gotten my degree in graphic design and animation. So I was making these, what I thought were some badass, awesome flyers, and we would go to PWG and we would flyer PWG.
Wow.
And from that, we actually had some people that would go to our events, and I mean, most of them would turn away when they realized it was a backyard show. But there just happened to be this one guy who stayed and he watched what we did. He sent me I talked to him afterwards. He came to one of our trainings, quote unquote trainings, and Joe Medina. And then he goes, he said, "Hey, how long does it take for you to come up with the match?" And at the time we were like, "Oh, it takes about a month for us to prepare a match." And he just laughs. He's like, "Can you do one now?" And I grabbed one of the guys that had wrestled a few times, and we did basically a match. And he's like, "Oh, that's not too bad, not too bad." Because I mean, psychology-wise, right? Yes, but psychology-wise, we had literally mimicked a match that we saw on TV, and we did it move for move. So I think it was so all right. Probably not the cleanest, but it was structured per se. So he goes like, "Hey, well, I have this show coming up in about a week or so. Do you guys want to be a part of it?" And we're like, "Yeah, awesome, of course, yeah." So then he's like, "All right, be at this place at this time." I was like, "Cool." So then so we show up. My friend Brandon show up, and I show up, and we were the ring crew. It was just us two. So we were the ring crew. So we set up the ring. We wrestled, we took it down, and then he comes up to us afterwards. He's like, "Hey, if you're really interested in doing this, I have this guy who can teach you." I was like, "Cool, yeah." So then I was introduced in Van Nuys, California, to Latigo Blanco, who became my trainer. And I'm forever grateful for Joe and for Latigo for giving me the opportunity. And they never once charged me for training. Wow. But it was also in the backyard. But the exchange was, I was a ring crew. Anything that they needed, I would have to go get. So it was an exchange. And like I said, it was a backyard. So I mean, we were only training like once or twice a week. And yeah, so it was what it was. And I was super grateful for that opportunity. I did Lucha Libre for a good while before I learned anything on the American side. Once I got the approval from my trainer to go out and train elsewhere, I was training like 4 or 5 days a week. I would go to my trainers on Mondays and Wednesdays. I would go to a different place in LA on Tuesdays. And on Thursdays, I would go to the gymnastics place to learn tumbling. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was wrestling. So I had like no life for 2 years. But I was cool with it because I loved it and I had passion for it. I didn't, and again, different mindsets. I grew up very differently than a lot of the folks nowadays. My parents were, from Mexico, from a little small farm, a little town in Mexico. So they were old school mentality of like, get up. Are you hurt? No, then get up. What's wrong? Basically, stop being a little bitch. Get up. Nobody's dying. You're fine. Get up. So I always had that mentality, and I still, to the degree I still do. Like, I'm fine. Like, am I sore? Sure, I'm sore, but all right, get up. So I didn't have that. Like, and again, different times, and I get it, different times. Bear in mind, we didn't have mental health days, right? There was no anxiety. You got something, you deal with it. Don't run away. Well, again, understand. Different mentality.
I know what you mean.
Different time frames.
Yeah.
So that didn't exist. But anyway, so I did that for 2 years straight, just consistently 2 years straight, until I started getting bigger breaks, and then I started moving out of LA. And I started wrestling all over the place. I did Europe, I did Mexico quite a bit. I was traveling to other places in the U.S. So yeah, man, it was wild. And then I ended up joining Knox Pro, which was Rikishi school. And I did that for 2 years. It was like 2 years before I got signed. So 2008, I think. And then at the time, my trainer was Orlando Jordan, because Gangrel was during the day. And that's where Miro was at. So Miro was also training with them. Miro was during the day. And then I was at night with Orlando Jordan. Eventually, Orlando left. And then I kind of started taking over class a little bit alongside. If, for instance, like they were busy, I was the one that was kind of taking over the class. So I did that for a little while, and then both Miro and myself had to try at the same time, but I got my tryout from Jesse, and then Miro got his tryout from Knox Pro directly. But it was cool though that we were both there, so that was awesome. I remember I told Gangrel when I got my tryout, and then he gave me a whole like crash course on a lot of like lessons. He's like, don't show them that you're tired. Always, if they need people, get in there, be the first one in there. And he just kept saying, don't show them that you're tired, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to make sure that they're going to tire you out. They just want to see how much you push yourself through. And then I've always carried that lesson. And anytime people that I've prepped people for like tryouts, I always tell them the same thing. Don't ever show them that you're tired, or that you're willing to give up. Never give them that. Never show them that they can break you. They'll definitely try to.
Yeah.
But don't show them that they can break you. But yeah, so I did that. Like I said, I did the independence for 4 years, but it was a constant. Again, I had no life. It was wrestling. And then when I got my tryout, I did my tryout. I got signed on the spot, and then just went from there full force.
That is so funny that you say don't let them see you tired. We just had Key Min on from CZW, and he said that the whole purpose of their tryout is to see who's going to quit and who will be tired.
Who's gonna break, yeah.
That is so cool to see both ends of that.
When we were doing the tryouts, like on the road, when I was in WWE, I was the one that was there with Regal. So if anybody who's seen this who was an extra during the time that I was there, they were always going to see me and Regal together. If Regal wasn't there, it was going to be me and Scar Armstrong or me and Arn Anderson. And so I was always there running the tryouts. And then if they liked you, then they would send you to Florida. And that's where like the hard stuff would happen. I don't know how it works now, because obviously I haven't been there in a while. But I would imagine it's still the same thing, because for a while I was also helping run the ones down in Orlando or in Tampa at the time. I was helping run the ones in Tampa. So it was that they just want to see if they can break you and how easy you break. Because again, this whole world, man, is very mind stressful, not just physically. The physical part you can get over with. You can get over that quick. You rest for like a day or two. The mental, man, that drains you hard. And I wish I would learn how to cope with it a little better. But yeah, that's the whole purpose of the trials, is just to see if you'll break. And rightfully so, because until you experience the life on the road and all that stuff, it's hard to explain to somebody who's never done it, or then for them to understand it, rather.
Speaking of all the mental health stuff, you were very open about your addiction and your recovery. Do you have any advice for anybody who's also struggling with addiction?
I used to look at asking for help as a sign of weakness. I do hold myself accountable for a lot of things. All right, I had to stop. I used to victimize myself. I used to play victim a lot. This is happening to me because of you. This is happening to me because of that. This, whatever. And then the moment I stopped realizing that a lot of stuff that happens to me is because of me, a lot of things change. I know for me at least, a big problem was when I left the. Well, it started before WWE. But I let the ego get to me, and that's ultimately what it comes down to. My ego got to me. I was this big shot. I was put in positions, and I didn't know how to control my emotions. I don't know. Well, not my emotions, but like I didn't know how to control me. I didn't know how to control my ego. So when the whole thing with WWE ended and the lights were turned off, I didn't have that excitement, that adrenaline from the crowd anymore. I had to find something to fill that empty void with. And at the time, I had like trouble with insomnia, so I couldn't sleep. So then I'm stuck with myself. And if you think that my voice is annoying, you should hear what I sound like inside my head. Because, geez, man, I was just by myself. I had a lot of time, and I was just stuck with myself. So I would go and I would blame everybody else for what was happening. I went on this like super angry, bitter rant on WWE and then Triple H, which I've already chatted with people about. That I wish I would have handled it a little different. So my filling the void was the drugging, the partying, the alcohol, the women. That was how I was filling that void of just I don't have a purpose anymore. Right, I'm gone from the company, which I still reflect on the day that I called the office and I told them that I was done. I reflect on that. I was wasted out of my mind. I didn't get on the plane. I woke up on a Monday. And then I called the office and I talked to Mark Carano. And then I was like, hey, man, just letting you know, I'm still at home. I don't plan on coming in.
Wow.
I just want to say thank you. But I think I'm done. Because there's a whole thing that led into it. But I needed to find the courage to call him and say that. So I got plastered. Yeah. But I wish I would have, because people did reach out too. People try to reach out to me when they saw what I was going through. But I was too blind, again, because of my ego. I got this. I'm able to control this. I'm in control. I don't need your help. Who are you? You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. So I was lashing out at so many people for my own stupidity. And it wasn't their fault. They were just trying to reach out and trying to be helpful. But I didn't see that at the time. And again, I was stubborn. I'm still stubborn for different reasons, but I'm still stubborn. And I was stubborn then. I didn't need nobody's help. I could do this by myself. So because to me, smiling and then, well, not smiling. Oh, yeah. I say it jokingly that smiling is a sign of weakness. But there's something to that though. Also, asking for help to me was a huge sign of weakness back then, because it makes me feel less of a man, right? Because I have to be the one in control. So I let alcohol get to me. I let the drugs get to me. I let the women get to me, and that became obviously the big issue. And I didn't know how to manage it. My ex-girlfriend at the time. Bless her. I talked to her not too long ago, making amends because that's part of the recovery process. And And I apologized and I told her I'm really sorry. And when we split, I blamed it all on her, and I said a lot of things I shouldn't have. Um, but yeah, I reflect back on it. It was me. It was always me. But I'm grateful that I eventually reached out and I found help, and I'm thankful for Christopher Drasbach and Blueprints, which is a rehab that I came to. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my therapist. I still talk to somebody now, just letting it out. There's a lot of things that I don't realize until I say it out loud, and I think that's what, like, the whole magic of therapy is. Because to be fair, my therapist doesn't really say much. He'll just like ask questions, and then I say it out loud, and that helps because I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Um, so I still see therapists. That helps to kind of talk about how I feel, which I'm still about it. I don't do the emotion thing too well. Um, I and this is legit true, right? Because I've been very open about this. One of the first things that I told my first therapist in rehab was, because I don't know how the conversation happened. She goes like, "When was the last time you cried?" I was like, "I don't know," and I don't remember. But I told her that my ultimate goal is to one day just let it out. I just one day, just let go. I just want to let go, because whatever's still in there is still holding on to that son of a bitch. And then anytime that I've come close to that point where I feel like teary-eyed, my brain kicks in and he goes like, "Stop it," because you're gonna look weak. So that's still in there, right? And I don't necessarily see it as a sign of weakness per se, but I do wish I knew how to manage it better. And that's what the whole process of therapy is, right? To try and control your emotions and not control your emotions, but like how to manage it. So that you're not, so that you're not all over the place and too emotional or too numb, because that's also what it ended up being. When I left WWE, all my friends disappeared. As the piggy bank was running low, all my friends disappeared. So I went from being the "I love you" guy to the "I hate everybody" guy. So I went from one side of the spectrum to the other side, and I became numb. I had no emotions. I didn't care about anybody. If I hurt somebody, I didn't give no shits about it, because I didn't care, because I became so numb. In my head, everybody was turning against me. So then if nobody cares about me, then I don't care about them. So I just became numb, and I didn't care how I treated people. I didn't care. People that were trying to help me out, I would just push them away. But yeah, so I've been very open about that, and now thankfully we're able to do this side project called Night of Recovery, where myself, my partner Christopher Drasbach, good friends, we've had Fandango, we've had Shannon Moore, X-Pac, now Chris Harris from Impact, where we go around and we basically tell people our stories, and we kind of give little signs of hope that it is possible to get better. It is possible to recover, to come back to society, and then be actual productive members of that community. Because during my time, during all my BS, a lot of people gave up on me, rightfully so. I don't blame them, but a lot of people gave up on me. And I remember every single time that somebody would just shut me out, and when I asked for help, and how low I felt. And I don't want to be that person for other people too. And then the kids will tell you too. I'm not a fan of the idea of giving up on somebody, because I know what that feels like. And I don't want to give that same feeling to other people when the coach or somebody gives up on you, because it sucks. We'll try, but obviously, yeah.
Man, that's big. I mean, to see, to hear your story and to hear like the growth of you as a person, it sounds like you've grown a great deal as a person, and that, you're learning to manage a lot. And it's great to have someone like you teaching that next generation of pro wrestlers, somebody that won't give up, somebody that has gone through everything, has been to the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And you can literally identify with a lot of the situations that your students are going to come to you with. And you can teach them ways to avoid those pitfalls. And then when they, if they do end up there, how to recover from it. I just think it's awesome, man. You're just doing a great job.
And I understand sometimes, life happens, right? Life happens, personal issues happen. So that's one thing I told them when they sign up here. I understand life happens. All you need to do is just communicate with me, because I can't read your mind. So if something's going on in real life and it's affecting here, talk to me. If you need to take like a week or whatever days off, that's fine. Just let me know, because if you don't show up, then I'm gonna be like, hey, where the hell are you? And then if you bite back on me or bark back at me, then I'm a fucking yo, what's up? But all we have to do is just communicate. Life happens, and I can almost guarantee you there's gonna be very little that you're ever gonna tell me that I have not experienced myself or I have not been around. So if you think that I won't understand, I'm pretty sure I may have experienced something similar to it. So all I have to do is just communicate, and if I haven't, you'll be a first. But just
you mentioned it previously. We're kind of before the time where mental health was important. I've been in that situation where like I felt like I needed to cry, but nothing would come out as well. It just stops. So I completely understand how you're feeling with that, because I have been there.
Yeah, because I just saw my first therapist not too long ago, and she asked me if I cried. I was like, no. She's like, what's holding you? I was like, I don't know, me. But I don't know. I'm one day there's a scene. If you've ever seen V for Vendetta, there's a scene where Evie is held by V in the little jail cell, and then he lets her out, and then he basically tells her the whole thing was fake. It wasn't real. She wasn't incarcerated. He was just kind of holding her, so she has to learn how to surrender. And then when she realizes all that stuff, she shaves her head and all that other stuff, right? There's a point where like rain starts like falling on her, and she just like lets it all hit, and she just like balls like crazy because she surrendered. And I kind of want to experience something similar to that point where she's just like, let's go. Working on it, but one day, but it hasn't happened yet.
But it's ditto.
So as someone who's been there, as someone who is, training, who's training his own generation, and, he's got his own promotion, who are some of the folks that you watch now that are mainstream that you enjoy watching? Or first off, do you watch like the mainstream wrestling now?
Yeah. I mean, I have friends on both, on multiple of the companies. I mean, both on Impact. Obviously, I work for MLW,
right?
MLW, WWE, AEW. I have friends that are on all of them. So I watch closely a lot of the stuff that they're doing. Like, I love Rhea. She's awesome. I'm happy for her. WWE, like people that I watch now a lot. Miz. I think we all took Miz for granted. Chad Gable is awesome. Gunther is awesome. I'm happy that Randy's back. The storyline with the Bloodline to me was like one of the best storylines that they've had for years.
Agreed.
But obviously I'm going to be biased to a certain style because that's what I was growing up on or came up on and learning firsthand was the WWE style. So I'll be biased. I like the storytelling aspect. I like, that engagement with the audience. The moves are great, but they're just moves unless you give them life. And then that's where the in-betweens come in. The storyline comes in, because then that'll amplify the significance of that move. I watch as much as I can. I mean, and if you see my schedule, man, my schedule all over the place. I don't get a chance to watch a lot of it. It's mostly just Twitter, YouTube, Instagram,
clips,
Facebook,
and everything.
That kind of keeps me updated. And on the rare occasion that I'm not doing anything on a pay-per-view night, and I'll watch whatever is on. That's also a rare occasion.
At the end of the day, what would you want your legacy to be? What would you want to be remembered for?
Have you guys seen the cartoon Hercules, the Disney one?
Yeah.
So you know how Dan DeVito's character Phil, when he's training Hercules, and then he's like, one day I just want to look up at the stars, or I want them to look at Hercules and be like, that's Phil's boy. Some to that point, but also too to be able to provide a platform for other people to use. When people used to say like they're riding the coattails, yeah, use them, use that platform, take advantage of it. That's what this is for. I want to be able to provide a place for people to be able to come in and then work their magic and then do their thing, and hopefully with the goal of elevating them to something bigger. I told the kids here, I want them to get to a point where they get out of here. And then the next time that they come back, they just came from a tour in Europe or Asia or whatever. When they're able to come back, and then the kids here now, or the kids that will be here, are going to look at them and like, oh man, they came out of 3 Legacies. That's awesome. I want to see them on TV. I want to provide for something. I want them to learn, because I got to learn a lot, man. Like the encyclopedia that I have in my back pocket of stuff that I learned along the way. If I'm able to pass that on, I'm happy. I understand too that as I get older, my time in the ring is slowing down, and I get that. Understanding my position, understanding my role. I know my time in the ring is not going to be there for much longer. So why not get myself involved in other aspects and still be around it? So be a commentary, a training, promoting. So I'm still giving back. I'm still involved, and I'm able to hopefully pass on knowledge to the next generation. And this is what we're doing. We're building the legacy.
I love it. I love it. I got to give me one now. You guys got to build your legacy. Hope, man. Hope you got to hook a brother up.
I got you. I'll hook you up.
You have 3 Legacies Wrestling. Obviously, Hope mentioned that you guys are selling out, and now you're on to bigger venues. Where would you like to see 3 Legacies go?
There's in short, international TV. In a short answer. But if I aim too high and then not know how to get to that point by setting myself checkpoints, then it's gonna be tough. And I'm again setting myself up for failure. So I have to build checkpoints. I want to get to the point where ultimately we are gonna be like the main company in Pennsylvania, if that happens, right? Or in the county, right? So we start with the city or something small, then the county, and then the state, and then eventually, hopefully, we start traveling. But that's down the road. That's the goal. That's the dream, rather. That's the dream. But unless we put work into it, it'll stay a dream.
I feel like you're already making a nice dent. As far as it, I've been here a while, so around here it hasn't really been a lot of wrestling promotions that are really like top. I feel like your quality is top notch as far as what you put on in the ring and it just everything you do. So in the area, it hasn't really been anything like that before. So when you came around and I discovered you, it's like it blew me away. Just the environment, the vibe, and
I appreciate it, man. Honestly, and I can't stress this enough. It's not a single person that ever does this. It's a whole team, right? It's a whole team. The students are super crucial too for the setup, the takedown. They're super important for that. And obviously too, they're a part of the show. So they're super important for it. Like I said, on the back end, Chris, Bobby, Andy, Keith, Harley, if it wasn't for them, man, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be happening. So it's not a single person. And also it helps a lot too that I think we've built some awesome relationships with people around the community too. So their support helps is a big part of it. Between the sponsors or even just the wrestlers around the area, that they see what we're doing and there's no empty promises. I mean, we're flat out open about, hey, this is what we have going on. If you want to take it, cool. If not, it's totally cool. There's no hard feelings. So, and again, it goes back into communication. I'm learning as I go along the way too. I have an idea of where I want to take this, but we roll with the punches. It doesn't always happen according to plan. So cars subject to change. But I'm happy with what we're doing. I'm happy with the team that I have. I'm happy with the group that I have. My circle may be small, but it's a tight one, and I'm happy about it.
Sometimes it's best to have a small circle with quality people rather than a big circle.
Facts.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm interested in becoming a professional wrestler, I have no prior experience. How do I get in touch with Three Legacies Wrestling?
So if you want to, so we do training new classes every 6 months. The new class is actually going to start in March. What we do is that we have a tryout a month prior, and this is for potential trainees that want to sign up. It's a $75 2-hour training class where basically a crash course, and you get an idea of what we're about, what the training will be, the warm-ups. You'll get an idea of the bump. You'll get to feel the ring. Understanding that this may not be for everybody on a physical standpoint, and that's fine. But at least you'll get an idea of what you're getting into, so that you don't sign up to a place and then you pay or whatever, and then after a week you're done because you didn't think you wanted to come in doing swanton bombs and RKOs, but it never works that way.
Right.
So if you want to start your wrestling journey with Three Legacies Wrestling, we will be having an open training tryout sometime the first week or two of February. It's a $75 fee, and if you decide to sign up, that fee goes into your tuition, we will start the new class in March. So you can email us at the number 3 at Gmail, or you can go to the Three Legacies Wrestling Facebook page and shoot us a message there, and we can talk to you from there and kind of direct it. These are limited spots because obviously we want to make sure that everybody gets a fair opportunity in the ring. We don't want to pack it up too much to the point where you won't have time. So so that'll be the first week or two. I haven't set a date yet of February that we'll be having the tryout, and then the new classes will begin the first week of March.
Nice. And when is your next show? Like, because not everybody is going to be around. I want to be a part of. I want to check out Three Legacies, but in ring, that's just not going to happen for me. I think I'm past the window. So.
Well, I'm super excited that starting January 20th, as we roll into 2024, we're making our debut at Middlesbrough University, which is just located here in just outside of Lancaster County, city. Excuse me. So January 20th, Middlesbrough University will be presenting Icebreaker. Stay tuned to our Facebook because there's going to be a cool little video that's going to be popping up of what we got coming up. Tickets are on sale at 3legaceswrestling.com. And then on August 3rd, we will be going back to the Clever Magazine Stadium for the Red Rose Rumble 2. And on March 30th, we will be at the Lancaster County Convention Center, which that's going to be our secondary big event of the year. Check us out on Facebook, Three Legacies Wrestling.
Brother, I'm very grateful that you were here, man. This has been an awesome session. Learned a lot from you, and I'm really wishing you nothing but the best with Three Legacies, with your own personal journey, and just I can tell from your students that everything that you said today is like really resonating with them because they all have that same drive and passion and, you know, just the goodwill and everything. I appreciate you being here and all of the best to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
And don't be a stranger. Like, you got to pop up again now. We got to have you in. You're part of the family now.
Yeah. Anytime you want to be on, just
absolutely.
Let us know.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Have feedback on the show? Email us at rawimpactradio@gmail.com. Raw Impact Radio with Sir Blackston and the Masked Hope.
Raw Impact Radio. I am Sir Blackston. He is the Masked Hope, and we just talked to Ricardo Rodriguez. Just an awesome dude, awesome interview. Got some great things going on at Three Legacies Wrestling, man. You know, we always say this is a great time to be a wrestling fan. This is also a great time to expand who you are as a wrestling fan and go check out some indie wrestling. There's some great wrestling on the indies. He's got a couple shows coming up. Definitely check him out. The stadium shows are fire. I mean, you told me this, Hope.
Oh yeah, they're great. They're main event level. You know, like what I'm trying to say, main roster, like superstar level. You know, these guys are doing big things, and you won't be disappointed checking out a Three Legacy show. Awesome,
man. I'm gonna have to get out there, dude. I like to stay in my little close to me like 2-mile bubble or whatever, but I'm gonna have to get out there. I'm gonna have to go check out a Three Legacies show, dude.
You need at least 80 miles. You know, step them miles.
So, did you have anything that you needed to say, sir?
Just that we had a great interview with Ricardo, and just follow me on my social media on the Mass Soap, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok for your daily wrestling news.
All right, and I am Sir Blackston. No, I don't have a belt, but I am still recognized as the Raw Impact Radio World Heavyweight Champion. So, yeah, if you want to go ahead and follow the champ. You know what I mean? There are worse people in the world you can follow, first off, okay? You can go ahead and follow the champ at Sir Blackston. And, of course, you can follow the podcast at RIR Podcast. And we are out. Peace.
Happy New Year, peace.
Thanks for checking out Raw Impact Radio. Follow us on social media at Raw Impact Radio. Available wherever you listen to podcasts.